What a wonderful conversation we get to have today, because never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd get to 2025 and we would be discussing John Cena versus R-Truth. Now, that is the direction we're going. Some people have said now, John Cena just threw R-Truth through a table during the Backlash press conference because it was something to do, and other people actually, I think, had quite a decent constructive piece of criticism. We probably should have done this in front of the live crowd, because one of two things are going to happen. I think it would be this one. People would be so mad at John Cena, because we all love R-Truth. He's like the best guy ever. Or maybe you would have got one of those weird switcheroos where we are so appalled with what John Cena has done, we just cheer him anyway, and we have seen that a lot too. But that's the beauty of R-Truth. I mean this in a perfectly nice way. He's one of my favourite wrestlers by a country mile. He's not really in any kind of position at the moment. It's not like when we turned Kevin Owens against Cody Rhodes, and it very much felt like, well, we should do this away from the live crowd in case Cody does get booed, which we don't want. R-Truth is bulletproof. He can be cheered, he can be booed, he can be a serious guy, a good guy, a heel, whatever. You just throw him into whatever position and he will make it work because he's that talented. But this is just the wrestling I want to live in. Now, for starters, it's going to happen at Saturday Night's main event. I mean, it's the craziest Saturday Night's main event ever, because I don't know whether it will main event or not, but Jey Uso versus Logan Paul is also on that show. Not massively enthused about that one. That's not really what I want. But to get to see what is essentially the culmination of a 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 year story, which is R-Truth pretending that John Cena was his hero growing up, even though R-Truth's got a good sort of 5-6 years on John Cena, is absolutely wonderful. And the fact that we could tie it into the end of Backlash, maybe I'm biased because I predicted that. If you watch my predictions, so many people said, Simon, you're so stupid. It's never going to happen. Why else was R-Truth all over the episode of SmackDown for like 3 weeks? He had to be doing something. He even confronted Randy Orton about this. And it's not like, I mean, technically, yes, he was the reason Randy Orton took his eye off the game, gets whacked in the balls, and then obviously gets the title shot, John Cena 1, 2, 3. I'm not really sure how else you would have got out of that. And if it does lead to things like this, again, it's just so random, it's so crazy, but also makes sense and is so wonderful. That during this retirement tour, when John Cena only has, 23 dates left, whatever the flub it is, one of them is going to be R-Truth versus John Cena. Now, there is history, because this time, 13, 14 years ago, like 2011, The Miz and R-Truth were running wild together to try and take out John Cena and The Rock, or whatever it was. So that would be a nice callback, but they do have history, and R-Truth does deserve something like this. I know the word deserve when it comes to pro wrestling is a bit lame, but I certainly, if I could have wrote down all the potential opponents for John Cena in a dream world, in a who cares about all the logistics kind of a world, I would have put R-Truth's name on it, just because it's going to make me go, isn't this wonderful that wrestling is able to give us this, and we should never say never. And I know you'd be like saying, what about an LA Knight, or what about a Damian Priest, what about a Drew McIntyre? Well, we don't know that WWE is not going to head in those directions. I'm going to get heat for this, to use the proper terms. I still think I would have picked R-Truth, because I think it's going to be awesome, and I actually think it's going to serve us even better. It depends on what story we're going to tell, because R-Truth doesn't have to be squashed here. I know he gets treated like a comedy character, but he does have tenure in pro wrestling. He's been a world champion in TNA, for goodness sake, and he does know what he's doing. But you can still do that when John Cena absolutely kills him. That is just going to get more hate for John Cena. People are going to get mad. It's going to create some sort of energy, to use ridiculous words. Or they can go back and forth and eventually John Cena cheats again. And if you portray that in the way that hopefully we would do, that should work at the same time. But it all depends on what John Cena is going to do now, because it's not really been hammered over the head, and some people are saying yes and some people are saying no. I think I'm somewhere in the middle, because I'm a massive idiot. But there were maybe hints that we could have also made up in our own minds that John Cena is now being like, oh man, I'm doing all these terrible things, I don't want to. Now he needs to verbalize that, obviously, in his promos. I feel like I'm the only person that likes his promos anymore. I think they're wonderful. Neither here nor there. If that is the case, then R-Truth is a wonderful character. I understand we're entering the world of fantasy booking reality here. Because R-Truth is beloved, and because I believe he will stay beloved, even if he gets booed in the build-up in the next couple of weeks, when you get to that night, he will figure it out. He knows how to do this. If it becomes a bit like, I don't know, taking a dog around the back of the sheds and putting a bullet in its head, I think you could have this amazing moment, and I got it right once before. I know it sounds dumb, but again, you thought it was dumb last time. But you could have this amazing moment where John Cena is about to sort of finish R-Truth off for good, and he can't do it, because it's R-Truth. Everyone loves R-Truth. We just talked about this. He's wonderful. He's got a heart of gold, and also he's John Cena's biggest fan. You were my inspiration growing up, John, which makes no sense. And there is a problem there, because you can say, Simon, that's the most nonsense narrative I've ever heard. It's wrestling, man. You have to push those little bits to one side. Ultimately, you have someone that does basically love John Cena, and then you have John Cena who has attacked them for not doing anything wrong. So if he is about to win or hit the AA or maybe do the bull shot or the belt shot, and he just hesitates just a tad, right? Doesn't have to be a lot. Has to be a look in the eye, a little bit of a wink, maybe something to do with his hair, which he has wonderfully regrown. I shouldn't have said that. You know what I'm saying. I don't care about that. I just think that it will layer the story just a little bit, and R-Truth is the best person to do that. It's not a pay-per-view, it's Saturday's main event. Getting John Cena on a Saturday's main event is no bad thing. So I actually think they could have a massive upside, right? I actually think you can use it to tell the whole story, or whatever the flub it's going to be with John Cena. And if we do want John Cena to start cutting that promo that people seem to be desperate for, which is not this obvious, but essentially I have to do these things, so I had to win the championship, I had to be 17, I need to believe that I'm the GOAT, but I'm old and I can't go anymore, so I've got to take these shortcuts. To get there, you need a caveat like that. I don't want him to just walk out and start saying it. I want there to be a sympathetic character that once again we can all get behind. He's about to finish him off for good, and he's like, I can't finish you off, R-Truth, because deep down I'm still a good person. It's Star Wars, it's Darth Vader, and it wouldn't surprise me if that actually was the idea. Given all the shenanigans we have had, we had to go left, we had to go right, and we have to do a wiggle to do. But even if we don't, give me R-Truth versus John Cena. Make it the most fun thing ever. Give me 30 seconds, give me 10 minutes. I don't think it's a problem. And I do enjoy this fact, actually. I don't think it's an issue at all. That main event at Backlash has divided people right down the middle, to the point I almost dedicated today's video about it. I was like, no, I want R-Truth in this one for once. But some people have just convinced that John Cena isn't the same guy as he once was, and therefore they can't enjoy him anymore. I mean, fair enough to you. I don't see it that way. And the others are like, well, actually, we're going so over the top and there's so much smoke and mirrors. At least it's fun and it's entertaining. I just thought everything they did between Randy and John Cena was spot on. Like, given where they are in their careers and given the mission that we had to achieve, and the fans are into it the whole entire time, that should be the foundations for whatever we do going forward. And the only slight criticism I would say is that if we are going to get pokes in the eyes, we are going to get people being thrown through tables, we are going to get ref bumps, and we are going to get interference, distraction, try and hold it off in the other matches, because then it will add to the manic nature of whatever John Cena is doing is always more. That's just the case with wrestling. If you see it throughout the night, it has less impact, whereas if the first time you see it is when John Cena comes out and does it, oh my gosh, I can't believe that he did that. And there is a huge upside to Cena versus Orton, because I watched it back and I'm convinced that the announce table is meant to break, and because the fans in St. Louis, obviously Randy Orton's hometown, were desperate to see a table break, he's like, well, I'm going to call an audible. I'm going to throw him through an actual table that I get from outside the ring. Not everybody would be able to do that, although R-Truth probably could get away with it, because again, he's been there so long. So there were certainly things they were able to get away with that other people that won't be able to get away with. But that should be what we do all the time now. It's just you sit down and you work backwards. I presume, surely, the bull shot, title shot to the head is now his combo finish, which actually isn't the worst finishing move he's ever had, which was the lightning fist, which I actually respected, because he just has the, ironically, the balls to get it over. But that has to be what he keeps doing, because I think it ties back into the story as I stumble over my own words. Probably with Cody, maybe, in the sense that, so that this is dangerous. If John Cena does go through these feelings and these emotions, and then eventually is going to bull shot, title shot, so difficult to talk about, Cody, when they do meet for round two, but then once again it's like, oh, no, I can't do it, because, you know, I'm becoming the good person again. And then Cody this time doesn't hesitate and just whams John Cena. That's a really nice end to that story, given how people reacted to it at WrestleMania 41. But then, because fans are going to be behind John Cena regardless, you run the risk of people booing Cody for real. Like, how dare you do that to John? Because even though we love long-term stories, in the moment, sometimes our brains do forget what happened back in April, and that actually John Cena started this to begin with. But as I continue to contradict myself, if he does do that with everyone, let's say he beats R-Truth with that, then he beats CM Punk with that, and he does beat a Drew McIntyre with that, who else do people love? A Damian Priest, whatever. If he beats all of them with a shot to the dick and a shot to the head with a title belt, I actually think the first time he does hesitate, and it is Cody Rhodes, you're probably going to be getting away with it. It's just so difficult, because it is John Cena's last year, and people are so excited to see him, and he essentially is the GOAT of wrestling now in the way that we all sort of react to him. Actually trying to get heat is going to be next to impossible, but that's why it's so much fun. It's like a cartoon roller coaster ride. I actually don't care what we do at this point, because I love what John Cena is doing with it. I find it very entertaining. Sure, there's plot holes in it, and sure, there's things you can rip and go, I don't like that very much, but we don't got them, so I'm not going to focus on them. I'm going to try and focus on the things that I do like. But I do think that promo is going to come out of his mouth, and I think I mean, also because it's obvious, but also because R-Truth is the perfect guy to be the person where he's down, he's been AA'd 4,722 times, and then John Cena is warming up his hand to punch him right in the penis. He's like, oh, no, I can't do it to R-Truth. He's always been there for me. Then he does it anyway, and he does the title shot, but he's got to sell it in his face in his promo that he cuts afterwards, and maybe even before. And R-Truth, man, we have a huge opportunity for him. Be it on Raw or SmackDown this week, he has to cut a promo too. Does he act like he's upset? Does he act like he doesn't understand? Does he just be usual R-Truth and pretend it didn't happen? He loves John Cena regardless, which is what he did with the Judgment Day. They were horrible to him, just Men in Black flashy thinging himself. Or do you bring back Ron Killings? Don't forget, he did call him Ron Truth. I'm going to start calling R-Truth now. But you could bring back that guy. You don't lose that. He's still got it in his locker. He's just not been put in a position to do it. So given his age, and given that he is closer to the end of his career than he is the start, maybe we can just give him one last serious match. Again, I'm going to keep repeating myself because I think it's important. R-Truth has enough stock with the fan base. If all of a sudden he walked out there pissed off and angry and spat fire, like I say he can do, I think we'd all get in his corner. Be like, man, R-Truth, you're the man. And of course he's going to lose. There won't be any jeopardy in the match. Nobody's going to think that R-Truth is actually going to be the guy to stop John Cena. I just think if anybody should be given that one last it should be R-Truth. And I'd love to see him back in the, I guess Ron Killings once again is the only name I can put it. And that would probably be lost on some of you because you've grown up with funny R-Truth, and he's wonderful in that role. It's why he's such a good performer. But I'm not totally against the idea of serious R-Truth versus John Cena. Then you get to the end and R-Truth understands how to just flip that switch a little bit and go back to being the puppy dog-eyed, and then John Cena finishes him off, but he doesn't want to. And then it begs the question, I mean, if we start doing it now, I would assume that John Cena will be back by babyface in SummerSlam. He'll lose the belt, and then he has the last 6 months just doing the greatest hits, for lack of a better term. Or maybe you do run it all the way to December. The issue is now, we know it's in December. I think it's probably going to be a Saturday's main event, but it could be a pay-per-view. It is going to be in Boston. Can't remember the name of the thing. There's something Gardens, and that is John Cena's hometown. So if you're going to do Cody Rhodes versus John Cena Part 2 in Boston, when you're never going to see John Cena again, he's getting cheered. So I kind of think bring it forward to SummerSlam and maybe do something there. But I'm just excited about it. And if you hate it and you think it's not what you want from WWE, totally understand it, totally cool. But it is exactly what I want from WWE. It's like the Pat McAfee-Gunther match. You could technically describe that as goofy wrestling for life because the commentator got killed. But then he fought back and then he got killed again. And I watch so much wrestling, right? We all do. And I'm blessed to do it. And I'm blessed to have this YouTube channel, What Culture Wrestling. Please subscribe to both of them to get my annoying face over all your YouTube feeds. You see so much of it after a while. I just want people to try something new. And if it doesn't work, yes, we can come on here and discuss it. We can get mad about it. But we all move on. You know, we all get somewhere else eventually. Like, no one is really talking about the WrestleMania 41 main event anymore unless it comes up in conversation. And I much rather, especially given the way the world is in 2025, have something that can be discussed and broken down than just stick to the same old week in, week out. But right now, I do think WWE is over-relying on interferences and distractions. I mean, on that Backlash show, 4 out of the 5 matches. It's only Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. And the weird part there is the Lyra Valkyria match is when we did pull a surprise and Becky Lynch did win, and that's why it stood out like a sore thumb. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't think that was going to happen. And we kind of need to get back to that part, but not with distractions and run-ins. We just need to do less of them, even when they made sense. Of course, the Judgment Day were going to be there, but you don't have to book that match on that show if you know you're going to be doing it in the last match or the first match or whatever it is. But I love it. I'm excited about it. I think John Cena probably is my favorite thing in pro wrestling at the moment. And I know, but I'm in this and that. I've heard it, man. I do get it. But when I sit down there to watch it and I try and let those feelings take over me, they're just not there. I love his facial expressions. I love his promos. I love the horrible things that he says. I love the fact he's doing it over the top. And I was not even the biggest fan of the Randy Orton John Cena stuff back in the day. It wasn't what I was super duper into. Like, it was great to see because they were megastars, but it always kind of felt to me like it didn't really hit the heights I was expecting, whereas this one, just based on tenure, legacy, and everything else, it's like, man, I'm going to have such a good time, because you knew that Randy Orton was going to be fine. He's Randy Orton. Randy Orton could have been beaten in 5 seconds, and while there would have been an instant reaction on SmackDown, everyone's going to cheer. And that's not always the same. I did see a great not criticism, just a point somebody made. They were like, oh, I see, Joe Hendry can't even last 3 minutes, but John Cena went through. Wouldn't do that to John Cena. Joe Hendry's doing just fine, right? He's all over TNA, he's all over NXT. He's probably going to sign a WWE deal before the end of the year. Joe Hendry made it, man. And you can criticize the story, sure, but in terms of Joe Hendry, the person, he's going to be totally fine. We don't need to worry about it. But I really hope it's not a ruse. I hope we don't get rid of it. I hope it is R-Truth versus John Cena. I, for one, would love it. I mean, I don't want R-Truth to win because I think there's a bigger story at play here. But there is an opportunity, especially because I think it's only 2 weeks till Saturday night's main event, where R-Truth can come out super duper angry, and we just see that glimpse of somebody in the past. I mean, how many times have we seen that? It kind of ties into this thing that always happens. We never thought we'd see the Hardy Boys back in WWE. You never thought you'd see CM Punk back in WWE. There'd be a bunch of people. Even The Rock, when he left in 2004, we thought that was done. We never thought Steve Austin was going to have another match. And while I'm talking about this on a lesser level, I did not think you'd ever get R-Truth in a mega match again, just because of the way that they use him, because he's so good in that role. So let's take the opportunity. Let's have some fun. Let's do something different. Let's ensure it does tie into whatever this journey is going to be for John Cena. And I, for one, am going to be so damn excited. And yes, I'll be more excited for that match than Logan Paul versus Jey Uso. That's just not for me. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I just don't get very excited about it. And it's also why I love Gunther versus Pat McAfee. It really was. I was like, we're doing this? Why? Why are we doing this? But it ticked my box. And I actually thought that was executed very well. Because Pat McAfee's still mega over. Michael Cole, super mega over. And Gunther now just comes across like the baddest, most awesome wrestler heel there is. Some people are saying we should turn Gunther face. No way. Eventually, absolutely. But there is so much more mileage in him being a bad guy. I understand his destination for SummerSlam is probably Goldberg. But I don't think Goldberg's going to turn up for a little bit. So I'm desperate to know who he's going to fight next. And that's when you know you've got a good character. When you sit down, he quite clearly drew a line under one feud. You're like, well, who the hell does he go after now? Randy Orton's the same. I think that's the level you want to get to. Of course, wins and losses matter because it sends a certain message out to the audience. But I think you really get into an amazing position where morons like me sit down and go, I don't know who's going to fight next. And I'm excited to see who gets that opportunity, because how's their styles going to mix up? How's Gunther going to work with them? So it's good. It's a good time. Enjoying Backlash very much. We never need to talk about it again, hence why I'm moving on to R-Truth. But do it with me if you want to be weird. Doing my circle of the crossing of the fingers. I want R-Truth versus John Cena at Saturday's main event, and I want it to be a damn serious match. Now listen, you don't agree, which is cool. That's what the comments are for. Drop me a comment down there, like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen, which is my review of Backlash. You can get all of my thoughts and opinions, and make sure you watch Ups and Downs as well. They are different. I want to point that, so check them both out. And yes, subscribe, notification bell. Otherwise, grillofmine.com/Simon. Use code Simon, get 10% off. It ships worldwide. These are brilliant supplements. Otherwise, I wouldn't even mention them, because I'm not that kind of a guy. Simon Miller 316 on all social media. Simon Miller on Cameo. They are so cheap at the moment. They're going to stay cheap because I'm getting more in, and that's what I want. I just want to be able to do them because I think they're fun. Simon J. Miller on TikTok for clips and other such nonsense, and ProWrestlingTees.com/Simon Miller, and SimonMiller.BigCartel.com for merchandise. I like it when wrestling goes nuts. I like it when wrestling gives me something I never thought I could have, even if it's a pile of crap. Who cares, man? We'll just move on to next week.